Okay, so you're telling me that if I'm gonna change this color up here, is gonna change all across the website? Let's give it a try. And I'm gonna go with an orange. Oh, it did change, except down here. Welcome to Creative Instruct. In today's episode, we're gonna talk about styles. Please consider the styles even before you move to create the components that you're gonna reuse in your layouts, in your next project, whatever that may be, maybe a mobile app or a website, because that's what we talk about on this channel. Yeah, designing different applications and websites. I know there are plenty of creators tackling the subject of components and instances and variants. We're gonna talk about those in a later episode. But even before that, keep in mind your components will leverage existing styles. Number one, the colors that you're gonna apply as fill or strokes to different elements. Number two, the typography and basically the font family, the font weight and size that you're gonna use again across your designs. And number three, effects, in case you work with those. And by effects, think of the drop shadows, inner shadows. So that being said, feel free to subscribe and join the channel, and let's jump into the example. Okay, so we're gonna look at a couple of things in terms of working with styles. Number one is gonna be how you create a style. That's the first step. Number two is gonna be how you apply styles to existing elements. Then we're gonna look at swapping styles, editing styles, deleting and detaching, and do be careful when you do these kind of operations. And at the end, grouping styles. What I do have here is that homepage of a website you've seen in the starting of the video. Well, color is missing. It looks quite awful like that. It looks like the work is not finished. Okay, what I don't want to do when I have to apply styles is, let's say, selecting an element like this button, going into the fill down here, clicking to open the color picker, and trying to guess the color, or using the eyedropper tool to sample the correct color, and to go back and forth. So let's move on and create our first color style. Just pick the rectangle. First you need to establish the style, so let's create a basic rectangle, open the fill, and first time indeed, you're gonna need to find out whatever color you want to go with. Now I'm gonna go with this orange. Open the color styles library from this button with the four dots, and you're gonna see that it's empty. Okay, I can drag it here, and just by hitting the plus button, it will open a dialog window which says create new color style. Let's give it a name, tertiary static color. You can also add a description. It will help others that use these color styles to understand when to apply this color. So hit create, and now if you're gonna click on the empty canvas, you're gonna see that you have your first style listed in the library. The same operation for the primary. Again, I'm gonna add it as primary static color, and for the secondary, it's really easy, secondary static color. Now, having those defined, we can apply across the design. Hit Ctrl and Shift. I'm just gonna try to select those elements as quick as possible. On a Mac, you would use Command and Option, and when you want to select multiple elements, and by going to the fill option over here, you can just choose the color. Now, fills also works on strokes. This circle on the logo, I have it again as basic fill, so having that primary color defined, I can just call it from my library. And now let's try for the secondary call to action to apply secondary color. And also down here, we do have those titles that need to use the secondary color, and those buttons same story. Okay, this was again with a primary static color in my original design, and you can see that was quite fast. Moving on, styles also work with typography, and in terms of typography, I do have a main title, yeah, the H1, and then those two sections, services and case studies. So those would be H2 level elements, and then the content inside that section, those are H3 elements. And of course, paragraphs. Let's try to establish a text style. So I'm gonna select this text, and over here on the right, I need to define the style. So I'm just gonna go with Excel, and I'm gonna go with bold, the font family, the font weight. I can control font size and the line height, and also the letter spacing, but I'm gonna leave it on the default. That's enough. Having this set, I can just open the text styles from here, and I'm gonna name it H3 Excel bold 2028. Create a style. Yeah, that was easy. And now if I would try to select those titles, I can simply go to the text and apply the style from there. Okay, for some reason it didn't change to bold, so I need to check what's happening with my style. I'm gonna select the style. Okay, go back to the library. Over here I can edit the style. Okay, this is editing the style. You click on this toggle button and select bold from here. Okay, let's also make this paragraph into a style. Same story, adding the paragraph. Okay, and this is gonna be an open regular 16 with 24. Create. Selecting the paragraphs down here, I can just go back to the text styles and apply the paragraph. Okay, last on my list would be the effects. Going back to the initial design, some elements do have a drop shadow, like those call to actions and control of the sliders. So let's try to create an effect first of all. Same story, you're gonna take a rectangle. Let's go with a neutral color as a fill, and to add effects, you would click here, configure the effect, and I do want an offset 4 pixels, the blur and spread to be set on 0. Okay, let's go with a gray and an opacity of 40%. And so again, I don't want to adjust these or mess up the style effects once I decided on them. So I'm gonna open the effect styles and add this one to my library as, let's call it static drop shadow effects. Okay, same thing for the others. I have an effect of hover. Yeah, the shadow is a bit softer, and an inner shadow. Let's add those also in our library. Okay. Last one is inner shadow plus button, and say inner drop shadow effects. Create style. Good, let's add the effects, and I said I want to add it on this one, on this one, and on these ones, and I'm also going to add them on those edges down here. Just by opening the effects library, I can select the type of shadow that I want, and job done. That was So easy. Now, if you want to swap styles, basically it means you select element and you go here in your library, click on the active style you applied, and then change it from the library. Yeah, this would mean that I swap styles. Uh, it's not the same thing with editing styles. Editing styles would be, yeah, when I would go into the library and I open that style I'm interested from this toggle button. It says edit style. And you can see the dialog window now. It has the title edit color style. If I would change it from here, let's say to a green, it will change everywhere. Okay, so that's a different type of operation. Then again, it's about detaching styles. For example, if you would select the element and try to modify it, not from the library, but to assign a total different color to that one, and for whatever reason, maybe the marketing team wants a different color for this primary call to action. If you detach it from that icon, now you can change it as a fill. Okay, and let's go with pink. Let's go like this. Now that one being detached, yeah, it won't function. Basically what you've seen in the beginning of the tutorial, yeah, if I change the original style, yeah, that one won't respond to the changes. So this is something that you might want to keep an eye out for. Same thing would happen. I'm just gonna undo to show you how to delete a style and what happens when you delete a style. Well, deleting a style is basically when uh, you would go into the main library, yep, right click and choose delete style. Like that, if I will check whatever element was having that type of style implemented, in our case that color, it changed back to a fill. Yeah, so basically I won't be able to easily swap styles. It's not recognized as a style anymore. Okay, last topic would be on organizing those styles, so basically grouping them together. Imagine that I would want to organize a bit the effects. I can right click and say add new folder. Okay, and those will be, let's say, drop shadows. I might have drop shadow effects, I might have inner shadow effects, and so on. Okay, so that was for today's example. I hope you learned something new. I hope you're gonna use styles in your next projects. And in another episode, I'm gonna show you how to publish those styles. Yeah, how to make sure that this library you create is accessible by other team members, so you can be all on board. Yeah, and make sure that you stay consistent.